Welcome to World Talk with Friends, where the small world we live on becomes smaller as we discover neighborhoods all over the world by simply talking to our neighbors. This is Haggy Shack Radio production, simulcast over Wolf Spirit Radio Network. Colleen Kelly is producing with friends Nancy, Nora, Neel, and those we have yet to meet. Welcome to our world.
And we are live.
We are live, and it's February 15th, 2017. You are listening to the Say What Show. I'm Nancy Hopkins, and
World Talk with Friends.
Oh, what did I just say?
Say what?
Yes, we're at the World Talk with Friends. We're on Wednesday. Okay, we're on Wednesday. I've got it, and Nora's with me. Colleen's producing, and we have Neel Akash with us from Bangladesh, and we're actually have all you guys here because we're going to have a birthday party for Nora.
Yay! Oh, thank you. You see, that was the surprise birthday party I was waiting for.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and you got
thank you so much.
Friends all over the world here that are.
Yeah.
And that's the key, you know, that is the key. I
feel very blessed.
Let's just introduce Neel. Neel, how you doing?
I'm okay, Nance, thank you.
It's very.
Hi, everybody.
Yes, it's very late there. What?
Hey, Neel.
Hi, happy birthday, Nora.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now, it's midnight right now there, Neel?
Yeah, it's 12 a.m., midnight.
12 a.m. And
so it's not the 15th anymore?
Yeah, it's actually 16th right now.
That's true. He's late for the party. Or early. I guess early for the party, isn't he? No, he'd be late.
Late
for the party.
It's the 16th now.
Oh, I love it.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, Nora.
Yes.
Tell us about the prank you've been pulling lately on Facebook.
Oh, it's
with
just
videos
one prank, Neel.
accents.
It was just one prank.
No. It's been more than one.
What? You mean the second one with the British? First of all, the people who are listening won't know what we're talking about. I've been doing these accents on my Facebook profile just for fun because I've been a bit bored. Not bored in a negative way, but just feeling a little bit like I just want to have fun, doing something different. So I did a little prank the first time with a southern accent, and I made people believe that my parents are from the south, they went to work in Saudi Arabia, and that the people I lived with weren't my biological family. And a lot of people believed it. So Neel still thinks there's something fishy. You conspiracy theorist. I can't believe there's nothing. Okay.
Wow.
I didn't see the British one, but you know.
Oh, it was for Valentine's Day.
Oh, well.
Sorry, yeah.
Well, I just woke up a little bit ago, late, so I haven't really had a chance to go through Facebook yet. But I did see the Alabama you. And I had just woken up and I'm like, WTF?
A friend of mine actually said, I thought for a second you went mad.
I was like, what the heck is going on?
I'm just trying to have some fun with everyone.
It was
See, I have a
quite
naughty side. It doesn't always
convincing.
come out. It was convincing. Well, I love acting, and I love accents. So, and this is something that people don't really know much about me because I don't really show it off. But I felt like doing it just for fun. But I think I was too serious. I really freaked some people out, actually. So
yeah.
I apologized. My father-in-law, I mean, you guys know I'm separated, but I still talk to my father-in-law. I love him. He actually told my husband that he didn't sleep all night because he was feeling so bad for me, and it was just so bad.
Oh, no.
I'll never do that again, I promise.
Okay.
Until the next time.
Until the next time. By the way, I wanted to give you a little fun fact about today that I just found out a few days ago from my roommate, my flatmate. Yesterday was St. Valentine's Day, right? For, all the lovers. Today is the day of the single people. So hurrah for the single people. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but
Neither did I.
No idea.
Is this just in Italy?
I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't really investigate, but that's what she said.
I like it.
Me too.
So happy Singles Day. Is that what we call it? What do they call it? Singles Day?
I guess so, yeah. Happy Singles Day. Well, they didn't want to feel left out, or they didn't want to make single people feel left out, so they did a Singles Day the next day after St. Valentine's Day. So
your flatmate.
She was serious. I really don't.
Or your flatmate is playing you.
I don't know. Maybe she is. Who knows?
Oh my! I like that idea though.
Mhm.
I mean, being an old maid is the greatest secret everybody should know.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like when you have your own life and nobody especially once your parents die. I mean, I don't care how old I got. My parents were still thinking of me as a child. But when you get to a certain point and you have that freedom of feeling good about yourself, that you can, depend on yourself, and you have to have good friends. It's not good to be, you have to have the network, the good friends. And luckily I have, the entire radio that we deal with, but also I just have some good friends.
Yeah.
And, I do have a lot of sisters and brothers. But those aren't exactly my friends. There is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And, before we got on the show, I said to Nora, do you want to talk about your birthday? Because a lot of people, they just don't think about their birthdays. And yet I think that birthdays are really kind of special because if you look at what they are, it's really marks another trip around the sun. When you start out, like I've told this story, I was turning 59 and my friend Peter says to me, well, technically you're starting your 60th year trip around the sun. I went, what? He says, well, when you were 1 year old, you'd already gone around once. And I was like, oh my God. So I never saw 59. I went to 60 right away in my, but paybacks are hell. So when he turned 60, man, I pulled it on him too. Oh yeah, I guess that was kind of mean of me. He says, no, because he's the same thing. But it marks a new journey around the sun.
True.
165, what is it, 62 days? I forget what it is, 65, that you go around this sun. And every single instant, every single point is a different energy. And it's just, if you look at it that way, it's like a new opportunity.
That's very true.
Again, And I also said to Nora that it's kind of, when you think about all of the different modalities that depend on when and where you were born, astrology, human design. I mean, there's a whole slew of them. They all, when were you born? And numerology, that it's kind of like, where's the free will in this? If you have all of this stuff that, is you because you were born in a particular place and space. But that's the beauty of it. Because we are all unique. And if you think about it, there's very few times where you have somebody who, in a hospital, let's say, where they're giving birth, two people are giving birth at exactly the same moment in the same place. Doesn't happen.
Wow.
So from that standpoint, you have to really appreciate the uniqueness of everybody.
It's true. That's very true. Plus, I mean, I remember when my daughter was about 4, and I already shared this story. She said a lot of very strange things, memories that she has from before being born. And one of the things she told me regarding what you said about free will and birth, she said that God, or the creator, source, doesn't choose for us. Which we are part of the creator, source, because we still really don't understand exactly what it means to be the real us. We're infinite consciousness connected to the source, but are we source itself, or are we facets of it? Or, just one second. Sorry about that. So, she was telling me that, just like a lot of other people mentioned, that we choose where we're born, when we're born, and choices are not made for us. We make those choices, and obviously we make them for a reason. And she said that there is a council. There are beings that are like some sort of angels, if we can call them, that do help us. She said that. She was 4 years old. She said they help us make these decisions, but at the end it is our choice. It's like a review with consultants who review whatever life you've had before or the stream of lives. And depending on all the actions that happened, we come back with the appropriate situation and appropriate human design in order to continue what we left off from a spiritual standpoint, not from an individual, unique standpoint of the avatar itself, which is, our, like Nancy, Nora, Neel, the person that identifies him or herself with the person. So at 4 years old, saying things like that, which she comes from a very Islamic background where they don't believe in reincarnation, they don't believe in free choice. So it was quite shocking to hear it from her. She never heard it from me. So I just wanted to share that there is, from what she said, there is free will. There is free will. We may not remember it. That's all.
Neel, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm just pondering what she just said. And personally, I've been doing a bit of spiritual studying myself. And it seems that it's a combination of our innate knowing. Maybe it comes from the DNA, memory, or the morphogenetic field. And then we culturally, we get some of it through studies. We get it through gurus and spiritual adepts. We learn stuff. So sometimes I wonder, how accurate, whatever it is, I believe my current belief system is. Because it changes, because I'm seeking, right? I'm always studying, I'm learning new things, and subtle changes happen. So it's a growing path. And I think one of the important things to keep in mind is not to get very obstinate with my own thinking. And people say that rather than thinking, trust your feeling. So that's another thing. That as a male, I think I'm a little weak with the feeling stuff, because I see women, I shouldn't generalize, but still, it's my experience, that oftentimes I see females can feel better and they trust feelings and stuff like that, whereas I myself go with my brain and my thoughts. So basically, that's one thing. The thing that I had in mind when I came onto the show, I was thinking of how I should start talking, and what came to me was Don Juan from Castaneda. Is it okay? Let me give a little story from there. Is that going to be okay?
Please.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Okay. What happened is we were teaching a friend of mine how to ride a bike, and she brought a little tiny bike and she practiced it, and then she sat it next to her, and there was this kid. he's a poor kid, and he has an amputated arm, right? So he begs. He's a tiny little kid, and he has this attitude because we go there pretty often, and we see this kid pretty often too. So he comes to us and he demands that, check this out, look, here, see my arm? Give me money, okay? He has this attitude, so it's kind of funny. So what happened is he came up to me and said, whispered into my ear, can I ride this bike, please? And now he's kind of small, and the bike's still too big for him. So he had this other bigger kid who helped him out. He sat on the seat, and he kind of rode around the bike with the help of the other guy, okay? So he was doing that. Meanwhile, this other friend of mine, he was telling me that, look, I feel bad for these kids because, they don't get the opportunity they deserve. So as soon as he said that, I was like, wait a minute, I know this. I read about this in Castaneda, and Don Juan covered it very well. He had a very similar story with a bunch of kids cleaning up after customers in a restaurant where they had tables outside. And these poor kids, they would come out as soon as the customers would have left. They would go to that table quietly, eat whatever leftovers were there, and just leave. So Castaneda was like, oh my God, look at these kids. They're so, in a sorry state. So Don Juan was like, no, it doesn't matter. What matters is knowledge. Okay, so, and knowledge can come to anyone at any given moment. You can be poor, you can be rich, doesn't matter. And it's free. You don't have to pay for it. So I said the same thing to my friend, saying that you don't have to pity these people because they're poor. Because if knowledge comes to them, they'll see and they'll be okay. So I just wanted to throw it as a thought. Because, we all have different levels of opportunities and wealth. So in a bigger picture, it doesn't really matter. And we can kind of go for knowledge and self-knowledge rather, whatever it is, whatever knowledge means. And we're all seeking it. At the same time, we're trying to transform this reality of ours, which seems to be a little stale, a little boring, and we could do better. I think this much most of us would agree on that. We could do better. And it's just a matter of agreeing on how we should approach this problem, right? Where we should make the first changes, where it will be the most effective. Finding that part of the matrix.
So you're finding reality to be boring?
Sometimes, not always. Not me personally. Ever since I started the frequency raising process, which I do through my studies and stuff, I've been on a roll. So I'm not exactly speaking for myself, even though, I go through ups and downs. And, sometimes I wonder that it should be better. There's all these materialistic problems that I have to deal with, because of the system and stuff like that. So that's what I'm talking about.
Got it.
Yeah. Now, there was something I'd like to comment on what you said, Neel. I agree with you on everything you said. But the thing is, as Nancy was saying, that, when we're born, there's a uniqueness to each person. And that kind of tells us how complex each human being is. And it's true, knowledge does change things for a person. And it's free. As you said, it is free if you want to seek it, or you are open to receiving knowledge. It'll come to you in one way or another. Now, if we're going to say, for example, about talking about reality or you getting the ups and downs, I've noticed that from my own experience that, and I was talking to someone about this today, that the problem is, at least for me, I mean, I used to have this problem, and now finally I've been able to rid myself from it, where every time I felt down or I'd fall into some negative pattern that I would have, I would feel like I failed. And instead, now I've come to realize that it's just part of the process, where when you become aware of like, for example, if you say, okay, now I'm feeling down, instead of us saying, oh crap, everything I've done now, it almost feels like I've taken 2-3 steps back, for example, you'd say, okay, that's interesting. What can I do with this? And it's that awareness that I've noticed that has made it so much easier for me. I mean, this is recent, okay? I've really been able to rid myself from all that since I moved here to Italy, when I'm finally, for the first time after 30 years, been able to actually be on my own completely and have the chance to have my own energy and deal with my own energy without having interferences of stress and negativity around me, which has always been the case for me, which it is for many people. So, when I got this opportunity, I took advantage of it, and it didn't work out easily at the beginning, but slowly, now I've noticed that those episodes of feeling down have decreased. I think it's just because of that awareness because I'm, for example, very harsh on myself, or I used to be, not anymore. I used to be very harsh on myself. And when I stop being harsh, it's incredible. It's like magic. It starts to just, because you're letting go. So it just slowly starts to dissipate. But it doesn't go away like that. It's something that slowly starts to decrease, and the more awareness you have that you're noticing that decreasing pattern of these feelings, the easier it's going to be. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just from my experience. Others may have different experiences or different ways of experiencing it. So that's just my thought on what you were saying.
Hey, Nora, that sounds like self-forgiveness. Is that what you're talking about? Because
you're right. I think it is a form of self-forgiveness where maybe I haven't forgiven myself 100%, but there is more kindness with myself. I think when you become kinder to yourself, where even if you do something that you don't like, you start speaking to yourself really, like, it's okay, all right. It's like talking to a little child. It's like calming down that little child within you, because every time you have those negative things, it's that traumatized child that comes out that hasn't been healed completely. So that's, I think, really the process that one of the ways to actually heal. For me, it still feels like, I can't believe that this is actually happening, but in a positive way. So yeah, another word is I guess self-forgiveness. So yeah.
Right. For me, it was like lifting off of a mountain from my shoulders. It made a huge difference for me, because I used to be depressed and suffer from inferiority complex, stuff like that. But something changed. Maybe the trauma that I suffered caused it. Gradually, I learned how to forgive myself and unconditionally love myself. And as soon as I started doing this, I couldn't believe how much lighter I was feeling. And I was like, no, this cannot last for very long. This is not real. Yeah. But the funny thing is, it lasted, 10 years now. I'm still there, and I still feel just as good about myself. Unless I'm bothered by something temporarily, that's different. But when there's this neutral zone that I can sustain, like right now, nothing is bothering me. I'm in a good balance, and in a sobriety, and I feel that I'm in a good 0 point in my heart. I call it a 0 point for the lack of a better term. It's like,
that's a good term.
Right? It's like you're having a kind of central balance. It's not a very fixed point, but you kind of maintain a balance, like Nancy was saying. That she has a lot of radio friends, basically, because of her networking. And that happened, I was thinking that it happened because Nancy has a beautiful 0-point heart balance. You know what I mean? So people feel comfortable with her. You know, when she talks to me, I instantly pick up on it, right? I feel comfortable talking to her. So, and that's the high vibration, I think, that, you know, like Colleen, and why Nora gets invited in these shows, right? Nora, she must have some quality. Maybe
I ask myself that all the time.
Right. So yeah, right. I ask myself that same question.
Yeah.
Myself. The thing is,
what
I see about you, Nora, that you have this cleanness of your energy, right? You have a clear identity of yourself, even though you're pulling all these pranks, pulling on legs. That's different. It's okay. But yeah.
You're not very forgiving, aren't you?
I'm still suspicious. I'm telling you. That first one, that was just too amazing to believe that he was acting. Unbelievable.
Thank you.
And then there's Colleen, you know, when she speaks with that beautiful tone, you know, as if she's drinking martini or whatever it is.
She has an amazing voice. Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful voice, Colleen. Seriously. Mesmerizing.
Yeah, so Colleen, thank you for producing these shows. It's great. I mean, I feel so very fortunate and grateful for being a part of this. You know, it's beautiful. You know, today we don't have an agenda, but this talk, you know, it's okay. Right, you know, I personally, I'm a book kind of guy. I'm always talking technical stuff and information, kind of like that. And I don't make small talk that much. But that's not good either. I understand that. But we have our inclinations.
It depends on the situation. I used to be that way too. Like, oh, I hate small talk. It really depends on the situation. I think it's about becoming fluid. You know, when we become less strict or more flexible in dealing with situations, and it really has to do with what we were saying, becoming kinder with ourselves and having that 0 point in your heart. That's a very good term. You know, it's just like you're in the middle. You're not too back or forth. And it just gives you that feeling. I'll give you a little example. For example, I used to get really irritated because I'm a very expressive person, okay? I'm very hot-blooded, okay? Even though it doesn't show, but, you know, I'm half Italian, half Arab, so it's there. And I move a lot with my eyes, and you know, when I get really excited, that happens. So sometimes people would interpret that as, what's wrong with you, you know? And that used to really piss me off because it made me feel like I can't be myself. I'm always being judged. So if I'm, for example, really excited about something, or I'm, for example, talking about something serious and I'm, you know, I frown a little bit, but it's not negative frowning. It's like, because, you know, I'm using my frontal lobe. So I'm intense. Okay. The right word is I'm an intense person, but when I only have to be, okay. If there's something important, then I put my energy in it. And people around me, I mean, I allowed it unaware. I mean, I was ignorant, but I allowed it. I let other people's judgment affect me. So slowly but surely, it started affecting me in a way where there was something wrong with me. Now, I'll give you an example. After all the healing that I've been working on, now, if someone tells me, like relax, or it's okay, and I would just turn around very calmly and say, don't worry, I am relaxed. I'm just explaining this and this to you very calmly. No, and the person gets embarrassed because they're like, oh, no, I didn't mean that. I'm saying, no, it's okay, but I'm just telling you, I'm very relaxed, okay? But this is the situation, you know, blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is, I mean, this is just an example. And when they see that I don't react, and I really don't, it's not like I'm faking it on the outside and on the inside I'm boiling. No, I'm really calm. They kind of step back. So it's a bit of a kind of assertive, dominant behavior, but without controlling, like without being oppressive to the other person or making them feel uncomfortable. It's just giving them the chance to step back and think of their own judgment if they want to. Whether they do or not, I mean, if they do, it's good for them. If they don't, but at least I didn't get affected. So this is something very powerful that has changed in me. It used to drive me crazy. And actually that would get me sometimes into fights, like disagreements or arguments. Now I don't let it. It's like a wall.
Well, Nora, you're standing in your truth.
Yes, Nancy, exactly.
You know,
I am starting to really do that.
Yeah, it's like there's a certain time at which your fundamental belief system seems to get some solidarity to it. And it's like, I think that you also have to cross the threshold from wanting to have everybody believe what you believe because you know it's the truth, and then that of not really caring. I'm just tell you the truth. It's up to you, because by the time you get to that knowingness and standing in your truth, you also know that reality is what everybody thinks it is, and it depends on where they're coming from. You have an expansiveness of knowing that and it goes back to that concept of the uniqueness of the human being. Everybody has a story. And the difference between, because I was, like you guys, it was like I had small talk, no way. I don't have the time for this. But when I started understanding that everybody is important,
yes,
I started readjusting my way of interacting with people. And I still will push a thought. I still will dominate a conversation if I'm being prompted by my guides that, no, they have to get this information. Okay? But for the most part, as far as when I'm just Nancy, in a situation, I really love to get people talking about themselves. Because what we're missing in social communication is this desire to learn what the other guy knows. Because we always assume, well, we know it all. Well,
That's
no.
true.
Everybody has a piece of the truth. If we're all part of the collective or the source, everybody's important. And so everybody that you meet, every stranger, every animal that comes up to you, even if it's a wild animal, all of these are interactions at a very fundamental together concept of we are all in this together, but each and every one is specifically important for just being there. They wouldn't be there if they weren't important. And nobody ever, not nobody, but an awful lot of people, most of us, don't take the time to ask people about their story. Now, there's some people that won't want to tell you, but there's an awful lot of people that they just want to be asked. And I guarantee you the story's great.
Yeah.
And
there are people.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Neel.
Nora, go ahead.
No, I was going to say something just about how some people have thirst to learn. And I wanted to share that experience that I messaged you about, Nancy, but I'll keep that for after a few minutes. I want Neel to speak because we might actually deviate to another subject, so I'll keep that for a while.
Okay. I was just going to say that Nancy's concept of everybody's got a story, that it sounds like almost like platitude, like, yeah, whatever. But if you really think about it, it's like, wow. You give importance to every single person, every single being. And that's how it should be. We need to respect all that is. That's very basic, which is something we probably forgot or can't remember often enough. We're always criticizing this person or that person. Somebody's an Islamophobe or a Jew hater or this or that. I have my own, idiosyncrasies and stuff like that. But if you shift from that and say, everybody has a story, and I'm willing to hear it. Let's hear it. And doing this initially requires a bit of ice breaking because a lot of people don't want to talk because they're afraid. They're afraid of sounding stupid or not sounding very knowledgeable or spiritual or whatever. I ask people to get on the radio show as my guest, and people get really nervous, like, no, are you crazy? I'm like, wait a minute, do you think I know anything more than you do? It's the same thing, right? So it takes a little bit of courage and opening up. It's really, it's not like we're something special. We're just another, average person saying average things, and that's okay. I don't have to be some kind of a specialist to be able to tell my story.
That's the key, is that we are special. Every one of us is special.
Aha.
And there will be people who will judge us meaning people who are not afraid to speak out. I've been judged, and maybe in a way I don't blame the people who've judged me of being self-righteous, even though that really wasn't my intention. Never, ever. I've never had the feeling of I'm right, you're wrong, really. But I could understand, that was not my motivation nor my intention. Zero, like 100%. I'm saying that very openly and clearly. But I do, and at the beginning I would say, no, but why would you say that? This is who I am. Why do I have to be judged for being me? And then I realized that it's okay, because they're coming from a different perspective. They have their own things within themselves that may make them, because if you're a person coming from a balanced place, where you accept other people for the way they are, and you actually see through whatever another person is presenting to you, and that person is actually being genuine, you're not going to judge them. Just like I'll give you an example. Nancy, for example, I'll use you as an example. You're a very strong person, and you are not afraid to give your opinions, okay? There are people who might actually not like that, okay? But it's not because there's something wrong with you. You're for me an example of a person standing in their truth, okay? And those who may think that you're intimidating or whatever, they're the ones with the issues that need to resolve, because they're not seeing what's real. So why do I or Neel or Colleen or other people not see that? The same thing was with a doctor I used to deal with. She was a very strong character. I used to love her. My sister, for example, couldn't stand her. She said, oh, she's condescending, she's rude, she's cold. I'm like, no, actually, she's very nice. But that's just her character. She's a very loving person. You're not willing to see that, because you're judging her through your own goggles of maybe insecurity, of wanting everyone to be all la-di-da and, bubbly, like roses and hearts all the time, people being so nice. And not everyone we're all different. The way we express our love or our kindness is unique. So you can't, not just because someone is always smiling at you and saying nice things necessarily means that they are genuine. And a lot of times people who are a little bit more tough, more, to the point, they can be the kindest people in the world. So when I started to just say, I know who I am and what my intentions are, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing as long as I'm sure that I'm not corrupting myself. I'm not letting anything corrupt me. No negative feelings of grandeur or whatever. I am the same person. I'm trying to be as humble as possible always. Whatever other people say, they got to work through their issues. So I don't know if anyone has a comment on that, but I think this is very important.
I do have a comment on it, because what you're talking about is something that I actually got very, when I was my first year in college. Mm-hmm. I had a total mental breakdown. Everything I'd been taught I could see was falling apart. And so I just went into this, it's like a nowhere space, because you don't know what to believe, from your religion to your country to everything, just, but when I came out of it realizing that the only person I could actually trust is myself. And it's not because other people are dishonest. It's because other people believe things that aren't true. So from that moment on, I said, okay, my best friend is me. I'm the only person that's going to know every thought, every feeling, every action, every regret, every sense of accomplishment. It's only going to be me. I was born with me and I'm going to die with me. Everybody else is stage peoples. And else.
I'm sorry, finish that.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when you said you are your best friend and only friend you have is yourself, I had a similar feeling because of my traumatized days that, I didn't have any friends. I was by myself and nobody cared. Nobody gave a crap. I felt that very strongly, but somehow that reversed inside of me. That's when I started to care about others. I realized that, what? I have to care about others because otherwise it becomes a very lonely, selfish journey. I kind of learned it through the mirror process, if you know what I mean.
Well, I think it's more a sense of security because now you can afford to be generous to other people. Because you always have this other person, it's not like a schizophrenic type of thing. It's this knowingness, I don't know how to explain it. It's like this knowingness that you have a friend with you all the time, yourself. And the only important thing, as far as I'm concerned, when you're going through life is that it's important to a degree what you do. Okay? It's more important what you say. But the only real important thing is that you know why you're doing things. That you're in control. That when you do something, it's not because you're reacting to a situation, you're responding. You're in control. So when my sister was, I think she was like maybe 4 or 5, and she broke a bottle in the driveway, and the kids, I was babysitting, and the kids run in and tell me. She's 16 years younger than I am. They come in and tell me. So I said, well, send her in. So she comes in. Her name is Lori, and I said to her, look, the only thing, do you know why you broke the bottle? And she was like, no. Well, I knew why she broke the bottle. It's a kid, and a kid is just testing their environment. Okay. And this was probably really mean to do. I was in college. I was working with adolescent education and this stuff, so it was all kind of in my head, right? But I said to her, look, it doesn't matter what you do. It's very important that you know why you did it. So why don't you just think about maybe why you did it and, come back to me and tell me. Well, then an hour or two goes by. I'm sitting down I've made dinner, and I look and I go, oh shit, somebody's missing. Who is it? Oh my God, it's Lori. I go upstairs. The poor kid is in one of these traumatic, crying fits that kids get into where they're hyperventilating. They can't hardly breathe and they're sucking in air and they're, that type of thing. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm trying to get her calmed down. And I'm going like, what's wrong? And she just blurted out. She said, I don't know why I did it. Now, that was, I felt bad about that actually. But, when Lori was about, 30 years old, one day we were talking about something and she said, I'll tell you the most important thing I ever learned was what you taught me at 5 years old. She said, I have never done anything in my life that I didn't know why I was doing it. And this is somebody that is very, very powerful. I mean, one day my other sister said to me, don't tell Lori, but I'm more afraid of her than I am Dad. Talk about a control. She's got it together, But she points to that particular episode as what made the difference to her. So it is really, the reason that I remember all of this is because of the trauma that I put this poor kid through. And I feel bad about it, but not when she told me 30 years, or 25 years down the pike. No, that's what made the difference in her life.
Well, the trauma maybe was just momentary, but then when she realized how important it is to always know why you do what you do, you've changed her to the better. You've helped her become a more focused person. That's amazing. That's a great gift, a blessing in disguise.
Well, there's certain things that you hear, especially if you get a little older, and they stick in your mind. They made a change in the way that you look at life. And one of them was, you're your own best friend. And this concept that only you are going to walk every step, and you might as well. The fact they tell you don't talk to yourself because people think you're crazy, or you'll go crazy, or you are crazy. They don't want you talking to yourself. Because that's where you're going to find more information than you'll find anyplace else. Is just talking to yourself.
Very true.
If you have that open dialogue, whoa, what just happened? Instead of not even thinking about it, just, recording it. It's like if you question everything that's happening around you, why did that frog just jump in front of me? Why did the birds all of a sudden flock over me? What was I thinking when they did this? I mean, really kind of details of your own beingness, and your life gets really interesting. It gets full of stuff to do because you're always talking to yourself.
Yeah, emotionally intelligent people are people that talk to themselves a lot.
Should we wake Colleen up again?
She's awake.
Colleen, you're awake.
And on her second cup of coffee. And she's also talking to herself in third person. So,
You're extra smart, Colleen.
Well, talking
Tell
about...
us why you do these radio shows, Colleen. Why you do these things?
Sometimes I ask that question myself. I started doing these when Dave Corso got really, really ill, and he and JP were asking for more producers or hosts. I didn't think I had much to talk about, and I'm at my computer all the time anyway. So I thought, well, maybe I can do this. I love to learn new things, and my major in college was telecommunications, although I never wanted to be the one speaking into the microphone. I wanted to write what people said into the microphone. So I just decided to do that, and JP and Dave gave me some pointers, and JP helped me a lot on how to put it all together. And I started out with Dolly Reads for You. Dave had asked me if I would be her co-host on that show. I didn't know really what that meant, but I said sure. And then I kind of started producing Dolly's show. Because when Dave would ask, it wasn't really an ask. It was kind of like, you're going to do this. And then Nancy came to me and asked if I'd produce her show. She thought I had all this experience under my belt and all this kind of stuff. I didn't know that that's what she thought. Don't know where that came from.
I want to clarify this, okay? In all honesty, we got a producer that didn't have any shows. So I said to her, would you like me to, put up shows so that you can have something to... I really stumbled into it because I was just trying to help Colleen out. I didn't want a show. I mean, to me it was... To be honest with you, it was intimidating to think in terms of a weekly show because I already knew what it was going to take. And yes, I thought that she knew producing. So go on with your story, Colleen. I'm just clarifying my part of the record.
Well, see, that's not the story I got. But anyway, I'm not sure how this went, okay? I just know that then Nancy came to me and blah, blah, blah. So then I just started filling up slots. I started reading books on my own because I used to read all the time. Because I'm not one of those who's very good at small talk, never was. Small talk always kind of bored me.
But you also had that great one on the gardens and stuff.
What? Oh, yeah. Well, and I read, and, you can't, people don't understand really how, because, let me see, back up. I would read books live on the air, and, of course, we would record them and save them. And being a Virgo and rather a perfectionist, I used to be, not so much anymore, I wanted them to be as good as I could, so I'd record them. And it takes hours to record a 2-hour book reading, because I'd stumble over words and all that kind of stuff. And then I decided, well, I can't just have, Colleen reads or Haggie reads for you, because that's kind of boring, hour after hour after hour. So one of my interests is gardening and learning to do things and make things on your own. So I started searching the net on tips, say, for how to make your own soap and lotions and things like that. And so I started doing a show called Do It Natural. I don't do it anymore because it just got way too time consuming. But tips on gardening and what foods are good for what ailments and all of that sort of thing. And it just kind of grew from there. I got more people would ask me if I'd produce their shows, and it just kind of grew from that. And then I created my own station, my own website, and all of that kind of stuff. So it just kind of grew without a whole lot of planning, because I'm not a great planner. I'm more impromptu, spur of the moment. Well, we'll see how this works out kind of person. And that's pretty much it.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
And it's not easy the way she did it. The production end of it was, weird things happen when you're doing the production to begin with. And you're dealing with so much equipment that, one thing could go haywire and you can't figure out which one it is. It was amazing to me to watch her grow because, and I said at the time, I never could do what she did, and I'll say it now, I could not do what she does. I mean, we've got another way of doing production that's much simpler, and, now I can feel like I could probably do it, but I'm only using a computer. I'm not using all of the stuff that she's using. So, yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Especially that anything could go wrong, live, and you need to, really, really know how to fix it real quick and have the technical skills. That's amazing.
Without saying a whole lot of bad words while being unmuted. Often I'm successful, but not always.
I can say there seems to have lost a lot of hair since she started this.
And I've become very, very gray overnight.
Oh my God. I mean, some of it was crazy. But learning.
Yeah, I work with 3 computers and my mixer, and often people, my microphone becomes somewhat unplugged, and I don't know it, and I can't, I'm twisting knobs and checking plugs and all that kind of stuff going, why can't they hear me? So
but that's just what you got in front of you. You also have to connect with the internet.
Oh yeah.
And you've got 2 programs that do that for you. I mean, essentially you need 2 things. So I mean, it's like there's all these things that are involved in it, and it's and God bless you, because Will Spirit wouldn't be where continuing if it wasn't for you stepping up like that. And I'm very grateful because this is the way that, well, heck, we found each other because you decided to produce. And you brought a lot of people together. And I know that Dolly's always wondering, oh, am I wasting my time with these shows? And I'm telling you, no. Because just think about the people, the family that we've brought together simply because you decided to produce. So, yeah, my gratitude, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely.
Well, it is. I mean, and I don't often think about it that way. Actually, quite rarely do I think about it that way. But now that you've mentioned it, for instance, right here, right now, we've got Nora, born in Saudi Arabia, in Italy now, and we've got Neel in Bangladesh, you in Florida, me in Indiana, and all of our listeners who listen from around the world. Had I not started doing this, I'd be sitting here only knowing the very few people that I really know, because, I never leave the house. And, if I'm talking to the kids and stuff, because I talk about y'all to them. And, time calls me from Australia to wake me up if I'm not on the air when I'm supposed to be. And the kids are going, who's that? What kind of accent's that?
Wow.
And, if the neighbors we've got neighbors and stuff here and they're going, from Australia, and I'm like, yeah. So it's just really, really cool that had I not started doing this had Dave and Dolly not been in my life because of Wolf Spirit Radio, because I'm sitting at the computer, sitting in the chat room, from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed, none of this would have happened. And it's amazing how life just kind of evolves. Often without conscious thought. It's just boo-ba-doo-ba-doo.
You let it flow. I'm smiling. I love what you just said. It's beautiful. No, I really feel it from my heart. I'm not just saying that. I personally feel extremely grateful because for the first time I've met amazing people in my life. I was very lucky, but I just do feel the sense of community. It's just beautiful, especially because we've never really met physically. So this shows us how consciousness just works in amazing ways, and how we can connect on a spiritual level. It's just beautiful.
On a heart level.
Heart level, yeah, exactly.
Because you don't have to be physically. Someone doesn't have to be physically in front of you. You don't have to have actually physically in this 3D world have to have met them, touched them, hugged them physically to feel the love for them.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Cry with them, laugh with them. And people go, oh, they're not real friends.
No, no way.
And I'm like, yeah, they are. I'm closer to many of you than I am to people that I have known physically. Well, not in the biblical term. Usually. All of my life. There's a heart connection. There's a spiritual connection. An intellectual connection as well. That it just absolutely astounds me. And there are those who put that down as, oh, that's not real. Yes, it is. And I'll drop that again.
They have a very narrow. No, you're right. They just have a narrow view of what connection with other people is. They think it's only physical because it's a very superficial way of viewing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, and people say, well, they can pretend to be anything that they want you to think they are. Well, you know what? So can the people that are around you physically. People pretend to be what they want to portray, and we kind of spoke about that a little bit in Haggy Shack's chat room, that people are society kind of forces people to wear a mask, and there are so many roles that you're kind of expected to play when you're out there in the public. So it's very difficult for people to realize who the heck they really are, because we have to play all these roles. And we've touched this a little bit on other shows as well. But I think that this whole internet thing helps us to find out more who we really are, because there's so much information out there. There's so many people that we can bounce things off of that helps us kind of focus that in ourselves, sort of, if I'm making any sense at all.
Absolutely. It's like a mirror.
Let me just point this out, that on cosmicreality.net, which is the Shungite link site, the only advertising we do, we're not even search good for Google. The only advertising we do is over the radio. And I just checked, and we have 122 unique countries, okay, that have unique people that have come to the website. And that's all from the radio. It's the only place it would be coming. So, there's an awful lot that we don't know that goes on behind us. How many people really look at the archives? So it's
right.
It's probably
That's
big.
Amazing.
Yeah. Listen, we're at the top of the hour, so why don't we take a break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about whatever comes up next. Sound good?
Okay. Yeah.
Alrighty. I'm going to put on Behind Closed Eyes by Spangle. It's a
Excellent
piece that Walt sent to me. It's very long. So when everybody's ready to come back, let me know, and I'll cut the song down, and we'll come back. See you in a few. Alrighty, and we are back.
Thank you, Colleen. This is Nancy Hopkins. I'm here with Nora Willow and Neel Akash, and we're having a World Talk with Friends radio show. And we've been talking about how it's really easy to be friends with people all over the world. Aggie Shack is the reason that this is happening. So if you can, go over to Aggie Shack and donate some money to Colleen, it just is a way of spreading the energy. And if you can donate up to $30 or more, you can get 3 of the S4 Shungite stickers that will pay you back in ways you won't even imagine. They will protect you against DMF from your cell phones and any other electronic. You can also go to Wolf Spirit and you can become a member and have access to all the archives. And the current archives, a week after each show, you can go to the current archives and you can actually download the shows. But you can go to and become a member for $5 a month, and you can access hundreds and hundreds of shows that go back many years. And it's funny because some of those old shows are just as relevant today as they were when they happened. Okay, go ahead.
I do want to add, because I have had 2 donations of $30 each, but they didn't put their address in the comment section on PayPal. And if you don't give me your address, I can't send you the stickers. I did send them emails telling them I need their mailing address, but I haven't gotten any response back. So make sure that if you're giving the donation and you want the stickers, please put your mailing address in there. Thank you.
Good
Yeah.
point.
Good idea. Good idea. Okay, so who wants to start with whatever? Oh, wait a minute. Nora, do you want to start with your story?
Oh, before I just wanted to share a little thing that just happened now on break.
Oh, okay.
Very touched. I went out to get another cup of coffee, and my flatmate was in the kitchen, cooking. And she's like, so happy birthday. And I turn around and she got me this little box with a cake, with a chocolate malt cake, written on top of it, happy birthday. This girl has been here only for 2 weeks. I was so touched. I mean, she didn't have to do that. And just it shows you these little acts of kindness. I was really touched, to be honest. I mean, it may sound silly, but I was like, wow, So I just wanted to share that really sweet story. She's amazing. I mean, and it's amazing because I've been living for 4 months with this guy. He was my ex-flatmate, and he was obnoxious, and he wouldn't clean, and he was actually a bit rude, to be honest. And it just shows you how, things can get better if you're just patient. And she's a really nice person, not just because of this. I mean, she's a very nice person in general, and this is just the cherry on top. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that little cute thing that just happened now.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
I'm so happy for you. Yay.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. After I'm done, I'm going to stuff my face with that chocolate cake.
Oh, well, those were there with you in spirit.
Yes, definitely. I'll eat it for all of us.
Okay.
Well, that's that. Anytime I eat, chocolate ice cream or chocolate cake or anything, I say to myself, okay, now I'm actually eating this for all those people that will never be able to do this. And I'm going to
That's
enjoy
nice.
it, and I'm going to just share it, I mean, because too many times we go through life and we don't realize, what special little things like, you just think about how many people have never had a ripe tomato.
Or a hot shower.
Or a hot shower.
Yeah. That's very true.
And
That's
they're all
unfortunate. We take things for granted.
Every one of them. We're in this
Absolutely.
together.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, so would you like me...
Go ahead, Neel.
Go ahead, Neel, sorry.
No, Nora, go ahead.
No, please. You haven't spoken
I
for a
was
while.
just going to propose that we talk about Trump a little bit because we covered him last time.
Okay, so then I'll share this little story that I was telling you about, and we can get into Trump and talk about Trump. Now, the reason why I want to share this with you is because I think it's very, very profound. And today I witnessed something very special, and that's why I feel it's so important to share it with all of you. I mean, I wish everyone was there to witness it, but I'll try my best to convey the feeling. Now, I just started working with a new colleague. She just started working with us last week. She's really, really good. She's 23 years old, so very young. And she looks up to me a lot. I mean, it's very humbling, to be honest. But she keeps telling me, you're a very strong person, strong person, and, you're very positive. And, it's sweet to see that because she reminds me of me when I was her age, still exploring things and still very new to things. So anyway, the reason why I say this is that because of all this talk, we got to talk about some things today as we were leaving work. And we just stopped somewhere before each one went on her, on her path. So I started blurting out information, about the things I've learned. And I just started talking to her just the way we speak, us together about spiritual things. And it just started coming out like, nonstop. I wasn't even thinking. And she was listening, and I'll never forget the look on her face. Her eyes started to shine. It almost felt like she was going to cry, but it's not like tears of sorrow, like sadness. I felt she was moved. And I wasn't talking about myself, and I wasn't talking about me. I was talking about the things I learned. And I looked at her at the end and I said, it feels like what I'm telling you is more like something you're remembering. And she just looked at me. She said, yeah. She said, thank you so much for telling me these things. She was like over the moon. And I just witnessed it in front of me, these sparkly eyes, like they just lit up. I've never seen something like that. Because the people around me, every time I talk to them, they have that kind of, what's the word they use? They disassociate, or they just block it. They don't want to listen, or they're like, and then they're like, oh yeah, do you know that it's going to rain tomorrow, or things like that, This was the first time that I actually spoke to someone who was much younger than me, and I was able to give the experience I got, even though I'm only 33 years old. I mean, age is relative. And just those eyes, how they just started sparkling. To me, this was one of the strongest, most powerful experiences I've ever had, and was privileged to witness. So I just wanted to share this and just to say how, my God, the body is really just a vehicle. The soul is really, you can see the soul from the eyes. And my God, that soul just lit up. It was incredible.
Nora, did you feel like you were delivering a message versus trying to explain something that was in your head? Did you feel almost like the information was being channeled through you?
It was being channeled through me. It was. That's why I was saying it was like blah, 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 blah. I didn't shut up. It was just coming out. And for a second, I felt like everything around. I mean, I could see the people walking. We were in the metro. We were underground, and she takes one line, I take the other one. So we were just in the middle before each one separating from the other. And I would see these people around me passing by, but I wouldn't see anyone. It was almost like I was conscious, but it was just me and her in that moment. It felt almost like we were engulfed in this energy where it was time for her. It was meant, for her to receive information. And it was just done through me. And of course, I was a perfect vehicle in that moment because of what I've learned. The things that I've learned. Because of the things I've learned, it was easy because it's very hard. I think it's harder for a person to channel when they don't have the knowledge or the understanding. So it was. Fabulous. It felt like channeling. Do you get what I'm saying? It was channeling, but with my consciousness as well. It was kind of two things working together. It was very powerful. So I just wanted to share that
Well, I think these things happen a lot. Now, this happened to be somebody that you know, but the weirdest one that I ever got involved in was in like a Walmart's, and I was waiting in line, and it was like two lines going together, sort of side by side, different cashiers. Mm-hmm. I looked at this guy and I started talking to him. And I'm like, my conscious mind had stepped back to allow a communication between, I really felt it was his own higher self using me as a vehicle to talk to him. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what I exactly said to him, but I remember this. I said, sometimes you meet a stranger and you will never forget the stranger. And then I proceeded to tell him this, and I've never forgotten him. But I think that there's many, many more of these occasions where we can really assist somebody. It was like her higher self was, you and your higher self were able to allow a communication, directly to that person.
She was open. It was very humbling to see because again, I saw myself in her, because that's how I was at her age. There are 10 years of difference between her and me. And it was so refreshing to see someone at that age be so open to receiving it. It's just the innocence was beautiful. There's just open, because a lot of people, when they hear information, as Neel was saying, that people, they have their own kind of mental patterns and their beliefs that are comfortable. So they kind of block themselves from anything. Like, no, I don't want to hear it. It's too uncomfortable, or it's too much work. So seeing a person that was so open to receiving, was just so heartwarming. Not for me in the sense that, oh, I was able to get, because I don't even remember what I told her, by the way. I just remember snippets of what I said, but I don't remember the whole, I'm telling you, I was just blurting things out. But yeah, it was just very powerful. The eyes, I'll never forget the eyes, her eyes. I couldn't stop looking at her eyes. They were twinkling. I've never seen something like that.
You gave her 10 years of learning that she doesn't have to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you turned her on, and you knew, you weren't even you. It seemed like you were figuring it out. It's like her own desires to get to that point. And, you know, that's what I think we do on the radio. Anytime we say something that just hits somebody like, oh my, you know, those aha moments. That's what's making the difference, people talking to one another. I mean, one of the rules of cosmic reality is communication solves all problems. And if we just talk to one another and tell each other honestly who and what we are, you know, that's when we learn. You know, if we're all pretending to be somebody we're not, what the hell is the point there?
Exactly.
Great story.
Very true.
Much for sharing.
Thank you for letting me share it. Yeah, I just thought it was worth sharing.
I just hope more people.
You know, Nora.
So Trump. Yes.
Trump.
I was going to say Nora channels even when she's pulling a prank. So, what do you expect?
Okay, seriously, Neel, remind me never to joke with you. Seriously.
No. Please do joke with me.
Oh my God.
It's a requirement.
Listen, I admit when I get into those roles, it almost feels like I have an alter ego.
Yep.
I really get into the role. Yes, I do get into the role. And I don't know where this comes from, but I really have a lot of fun doing it. I used to do that with my husband all the time. You do it too, huh?
I do it too, because, you know, I also used to have a show that had, gosh, what was her name? Was it Haggy? Anyway, she also is from the Deep South.
Now, Nettie.
Oh.
Yeah, Nettie. Okay, that's the one. And I used to do characters, for my family, would just be sitting around. And it does feel like you're channeling, or pulling something from a past life or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's a different, and Nettie can say things that Colleen cannot, you know. And it's accepted. Whereas if it came out of my mouth as me, then people are like, what the heck, you know?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling, yes.
You know, the thing that I used to do with my husband or even with my kids, they're like, do the, you know, whatever, Russian accent, do the Indian accent, so there are a few accents I'm really good at, so I'd sit there and do it for like 15, 20 minutes and they're just cracking up, you know, just for fun, you know, because when you see a person morph and become someone else, it's so entertaining, you know, and as you said, you can say things that the real you know, if you say it, it's not really that funny or it's weird. So no, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Or
I've had that since I was a kid.
Yeah. Or you can say things that if they came out of your mouth would tick people off.
Yeah.
Really upset them, but if it comes out of this other character or this other personality, then it's more accepted and funny or whatever. And it's just strange how that works. Because, I mean, you know, the facade stays the same, but it's just that change of voice and sometimes facial expressions, because I do those as well. So it is amazing. And freeing.
Very freeing. Yes, very freeing.
But we don't see the facial changes. You're on radio.
Yeah, that's why I did the videos.
That's because some of these faces are not pretty. I used to have this one little old lady that had a terrific underbite. The chin stuck out And
Oh, that's funny.
and those pictures are not pretty because the kids would take pictures of me. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Colleen, can I share with our friends here? Can I share that picture that you hate? And I keep telling you, yeah, I deleted it, but I never do.
You're not telling the truth. Just here, in here, not on main chat, okay?
No, never on main chat, but I will.
That's why I kept changing that promo, dear.
Because it's just too, let's say...
Scary.
Well, I call let me see, what do I call it? I call it, Colleen's Crazy Side. That's the name of the picture. This is Colleen when she's having a bad day producing.
Oh, no way.
Oh my God, Colleen. You poor thing. You seem really frustrated, but the people can't see it, so let's stop talking about it.
And that was done in retaliation to to someone threatening Hagishek.
Yeah, that's right. I've forgotten why you did that.
Yeah. Someone threatened to turn us all to dust.
Yeah. Oh, right.
That's a death look right there.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Literally.
Sorry about that. It's a little side, but it was.
Yeah.
It was too precious to pass up.
We should all do a picture of ourselves with a scary face and post it.
No.
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 Okay.
Okay.
So what about Trump?
Trump. What are you thinking, Neel?
Well, I'm thinking that picture there is rather appropriate for that one too. So.
Yeah. That's Colin's opinion of Trump.
I didn't really have anything particular in mind, but
Maybe we can talk a little bit about the Women's March as well, if you want, later on.
Yeah, that was what Jan wanted to talk about, and I felt bad. I'm going like, oh, I hope I didn't screw her up too bad. What do you know about that march? What was it that...
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Well, I started watching a few of the speeches, but I really couldn't continue. I'll be very honest with you, because I found it really appalling. It was, I think,
I'm sorry, but give us the background of it.
Okay, so I don't really know much, like, details, but all I know is that, there were a lot of celebrities there. The Women's March, they were doing this thing against Trump where, for women's rights and for, the minorities like the LGBT community and black people and Hispanics or whatever. And the things that they chose to do in the march, and I'm just focusing on the women's situation, were really an embarrassment for women who they don't speak for women like us, for example. I think it was quite appalling. A few of the things they did, like they were very aggressive, although they were talking about love. They were very vulgar. They had all these weird things they, displayed on their heads, like, lady parts. I just thought it was appalling. And I mean, we are working on trying to create this balance between male and female and to have more respect. And it's like they kind of, they pooped all over it. Sorry. I mean, they just ruined. They're just giving more reason for people to actually look down on women because they looked like frantic, crazy women that were actually trying to prove a point that I still don't understand what it is. So this is kind of what I have to say. I was very disappointed. Plus, to be honest, I was wondering, Madonna was wearing this little beanie. Was she covering her horns underneath that? Did anyone see it?
Those were kitty.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Pussy hats. That's what those were called.
Oh, that's why. Okay. Well, it looked more like she was hiding some horns underneath that thing. Anyway, I digress. All right, this is all I have to say. I mean, for now, yeah, I'm just a little disappointed, to be honest. I just wish they found a more constructive way to deal with the march.
Well, somehow I didn't catch any of this. So this was Madonna was there and a lot of other big names?
There was Ashley Judd, Madonna, there was, what's her name, Scarlett Johansson, and I don't know who, Alicia Keys. And those are the ones I remember. I don't know if there was anyone else. Colleen, maybe you remember, or Neel. Everyone had their speech and song. Ashley Judd said this poem that this 19-year-old wrote. It's called I'm a Nasty Woman. And then she starts saying, I'm a nasty woman, but I'm not as nasty as these men who I don't know what they do. And then she brings up Trump fantasizing over his daughter. It was just so bad. And Madonna kept throwing the F-bomb all the time. It was just, I don't know. I was shocked.
I'm kind of, my mouth is kind of opened here, because what I'm thinking is,
I can't blame you.
Well, could this possibly be, because of the people that you're listening are there, could this possibly be an Illuminati kind of play? You know, a setup?
You mean the whole march
I think
itself?
so.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I didn't get into what they said about Gaga's presentation at the Super Bowl. But I know that there was, you know, what did they tell us? What did the Illuminati tell us during her show? Because there's all these symbols that mean this and mean that. And, to be honest, when I have studied what they've said, it certainly seems like, you know, they could be right. But, I just don't I don't want to think about it, to be honest with you. But, the fact that because I mean, Jan, if you happen to be out there listening to me, let me just see what she's saying here, because she might be there. Okay. No. Alright, let me just, well, I'm gonna try to get her on, maybe say what, because she was really into this, and she probably does know a little bit more than, obviously, I know. But could it possibly be that we know that they go in and set up riots, they pay people to have riots. Was this some kind of a scenario set up by the Illuminati to make women look awful? I mean, you know, what did you take away from it, from what you saw?
Seems like it, Nancy. It definitely seems like a Soros type of guys. He has hundreds of organizations for this kind of propaganda nonsense, and who arrange these kinds of parades, which don't really add value to anything. This is what I think. But it was an interesting display of energies, bubbling energies, as if that protesting against Trump was a very meaningful thing to do, which kind of makes sense, because we talked about this in an earlier show, that there was maximum smear campaign against Trump before the election, and it was most of it was lies. It was like collage of his words to give it a demonic type of appearance. So, which people fall for these media propaganda, and they think that, you know, he's a really bad guy and whatever. So the reaction kind of makes sense that way. People, you know, actually believe that they were doing something meaningful, even though I don't agree with that. But my thought right now is that we talked about a timeline shift, and we appreciated Hillary losing the election, right? Because that would have been the worst of the two evils, so nobody wanted that. So, but we talked about Trump being of the light, and we were hopeful about switching into a positive timeline. Since that time, my thoughts have been a little bit in the back seat about Trump because, with the foreign policy, with Muslims, and the visa policy or whatever, and his stand against the Standing Rock, right, where it kind of went the wrong direction, if you ask me. So these things kind of rang as a bad omen for me. It seemed like, it's a tough battle. We know that Trump has to fight a tough battle if he's for real and if he really wants to bring any real changes to the deep state. So, and people who support Trump tend to say that, look, he's fighting a tough battle. We know what happened to JFK. So it's not going to be like, all right, he's going to say, all right, I'm going to end the Fed and it's going to be that. He just might lose his life. So he has to play it like a chess game. Play really, try to confuse things and get something done that way.
Well,
that may be true. Yeah, go ahead, Nancy.
Well, this is Colleen. Well, my thoughts on, the women's protest was that sometimes negative or controversial presentation gets a whole lot more coverage than peaceful. For instance, the water protectors who were protesting in Washington, D.C. got no coverage.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
And the women's protest got a lot. So
yes,
perhaps that was the mindset behind a lot of that, as well as women standing up and, saying, look, these things have been said about us, so we're going to take those words and use those, even though we don't really talk about ourselves that way. Well, not in public anyway. That perhaps that was the mindset. Nobody wants to listen to positive news, not on Facebook. Well, no one on Facebook wants to listen to what's really going on. So, you have to take this shock kind of stuff in order to get people's attention, So
like provocation.
Yeah.
So people wake up and look
so that they pay attention. It's kind of like sometimes you gotta holler. Because if you're speaking in a soft... Yeah, it is sad. Because if you're speaking in a soft voice, nobody's listening. Except in my house. And when I get really, really quiet, then they go, uh-oh.
The silent treatment. That works.
Well, I learned a long time ago that when I am angry and I'm hollering, I get real dyslexic. All my words come out, I can't even understand me. And my kids would start laughing, because I get all these strange looks on my face and all that, these expressions. So I learned, okay, be very, very quiet. So they knew that when I was quiet, maybe we ought to listen.
Right.
But the general population, you have to, you don't get any attention. You don't get any news coverage. Peaceful protesters being abused are not getting any news coverage. So that's kind of, because I wondered about that. I'm like, although, I was kind of sympathetic with the protests, well, more than kind of, the methods that they used, I was like, whoa, dang. Especially the nasty kind of thing. But I understood why they may have taken that approach. So.
The sad thing is that you're doomed if you do or you don't. In the sense that if they did the peaceful protest, as you said, they wouldn't get coverage. But what they did actually put us as women in a more negative light. So practically this is kind of telling that whatever you do, you're either going to be ignored, or you're going to get negative.
You're going to be bitchified.
Judgment. Exactly. So what does this say about society?
Well,
Now,
can
I'm
you
not
stay here for 1 second, because you still got all those celebrities. I think that Madonna would have been covered no matter what she was saying. And those celebrities, they had the celebrity thing. I'm sure that Standing Rock did not have that. So I'm not sure if that argument holds here.
Oh, I don't know. Standing Rocks did have some celebrities out there. They've had celebrities out there at Standing Rock, and still no mainstream news coverage on that.
Not gonna,
you know, so
That's true. There were a few actors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember. That's true.
So
the magnitude of Madonna and the others you named?
Well, there's Jane Fonda.
There was Jane Fonda as well.
You know, I can never remember her name. She did the whole not Divergent. Was it Divergent? Yeah, series that's on TV. And others. So, even Robert Redford, I don't know that he's been out there, but he's been doing a lot of support. And that's...
No, I will give you that if the women were saying, nice things, like things that were to the point, well, dude, and whatever their grievances were, instead of the way that you're presenting that they did deliver it, that maybe they wouldn't have been covered. Because again, you're talking about a coverage that only wants to give one view. And if they were looking like, bitches or whatever, then that's what they wanted us to see. The mass media wanted us to see.
Exactly, because there have been other protests in the country that were not like that. Protests, women marching because of shutting down Planned Parenthood. That's a whole lot of what that protest was, and a woman's right over her own reproductive capabilities and such. So there are lots of rights marches and protests going on that are peaceful. Then there are the infiltrators who are not so peaceful, and those are the ones that get the coverage. The ones who are doing the smashing of windows and throwing stuff, those are the ones getting the coverage, where the peaceful ones are not, and there were millions of people protesting around the country. But nobody knows about that.
But that's insane in the day of Facebook video.
Well, Facebook, because people are doing live streaming coverage on Facebook. Those people from Standing Rock that are doing those are being charged with felonies for inciting a riot when all they're doing is doing live coverage of the police brutality that's going on.
Unbelievable.
And they're doing it based on the Facebook live streams. They're trying to make it so that people are afraid to tell you what's going on. When they're arresting journalists at these protests, not only in Standing Rock, but also in Washington, D.C., and other places around the country that are protesting the pipelines, they're arresting journalists. So there's your First Amendment right. So, people are trying to find things that work and are getting covered, and still trying, because so much of this is just insane.
Okay, but I remember a plaque, a banner that was across Georgetown University at the time of the Vietnam protests, and it said, "They cannot kill us all."
Actually, yes, they can.
Well, Colleen, if you're going to take that attitude, then, what's the point? What I'm saying here is that, yes, if you've got Standing Rock people that are having this Facebook videos that's causing the government to say, oh, well, we're going to put you down. If everybody was doing it, they couldn't get after them all. And if Facebook started taking them down, the technology is there. There can be websites that have come up to just be feeding into the system, live feeds from different places around the country. So many of them that the government can't prosecute them all. And the fact that they're going to pick and choose, yes, that's what they're doing. They would have used any excuse. Oh, you threw that paper on the ground and, I'm going to arrest you for littering. That's such an insane situation. But the reality is there's certain things that we can do, and one of them is to go out there and just post. The more postings you get, the more the information is going to get out there, and the more people that can't be prosecuted because you can't prosecute them all. That's just what I would think. They're going to push people into more activity is all. It's just going to push people more and more into coming together. The more they do, the more the people will fight back and come together. That's what I think.
Well, I am posting about, all the live videos that I can find these days, especially the drone footage. They had footage up the other day where they shot down the drone, which is against the law to do. But he was showing the drill pad where they were actually drilling. And a guy come out with a shotgun and shot his drone. And that's not the first drone that's gone down. They've lost a bunch of them out there at Standing Rock. But yes, please post these things. And I don't post so much on the Haggy Shack one as much as I do on my own personal one. But please post, repost, comment, like, because I'm hoping eventually people will take a look and see what's actually going on. Not what the mainstream media, if they're covering it, it's all negative stuff.
So for people to friend you on Facebook so that they can get these live postings, what name are you using on Facebook that they might be able to get to you?
Colleen Kelly. Hold on. Looking for it. It's Colleen.Kelly.142 on Facebook.
Can you repeat that, please?
Colleen, Colleen, .Kelly.142 is my personal Facebook. And the other one is Haggy Shack Radio. Is my
there's only one of them. There's only one of them.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, Neel, you got anything else you want to add here, hon?
No, I just had a small question. Who's shooting down the drones, Colleen? I didn't quite get that. Whose drones are being shot down?
Okay. There are several people out at Standing Rock who have drones that do live feeds to show you what's going on, especially if, well, I call them the police. They're the sheriff's department. Sheriff and police departments from all over the country are out there working with protecting the pipeline. DAPL Security, they have their own security, which is very Blackwater security-ish.
Right.
They have the National Guard out there working with the police. The Bureau of Indian Affairs seems to be also working with the police, although I'm not sure that they're shooting down the drones. But these are the people, the police, are the ones that are shooting down the drones.
Okay.
Wow, they must be really scared to have all those people there.
Yeah, they're all...
to have all that police.
Well, they're also, besides shooting down drones, and they're also abusing the people with shooting them with rubber bullets. And I'll say that the drones were not rubber bullets. They were shotguns. But they do have live ammo out there. Then there's the mace and the pepper spray and the water cannons in sub-freezing temperatures. They've moved closer, the police have moved closer to the camps, coming into reservation land and arresting people on trumped-up charges. If you remember, several months ago, they had a guy come into the camp, driving a pickup truck at really high speeds, making his way to the camp. The security for the camps rammed his truck to get him, to stop him. The guy was working for DAPL Security. He had his ID. The insurance on the truck showed that he worked for DAPL, but he was dressed like the protesters, the protectors. He also had a rifle on him, which, when he got out of the truck, he was pointing at the people. They peacefully disarmed him. The guy credited with stopping this intruder from coming into the camp has been charged with felony, while the guy, the intruder, the what do they call him?
Right.
Pretending to be a protester.
One of the protectors.
While he was actually working for DAPL, was let go. No charges whatsoever.
So they charged the people that were defending themselves from an intruder.
Yes.
And the intruder went out free.
Yes.
Now, that's tyranny.
Duh. This is what we're trying to, we're trying to get this word out. You have the right to protect your property, your home, your family, and your water. But yet they're being charged with felonies. There are, so far, over 800 arrests from Standing Rock.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that number? You kind of...
There are over 800 arrests from Standing Rock. Many felony charges. Red Fawn, who was arrested, she was a medic, was arrested. They said she grabbed a cop's gun after she had been thrown to the ground and had at least 3 officers on top of her, cuffing her and all of that kind of thing, or with their twist ties. They said she somehow managed to grab one of the officers' guns and fired shots. Well, she, of course, has been charged with a felony, could face 20 to 40 years in prison, even though the videos show that she did not grab this gun, but they're not allowing the videos in court. These people being arrested are not given legal counsel. The whole, if you can't afford an attorney, one will be provided. They're not given that.
Basic rights.
Yes. So this is the sort of thing that's going out or going on, laws being broken left and right, by the people who are sworn to uphold the laws and defend the Constitution, and nothing is being done about any of that. And yet the people who have the right to defend themselves are being charged with felonies.
That is so third world.
Yes, that's what
that's
what we're saying is, and I'm becoming rather vocal about, we will like to point our fingers at all of these other countries. Oh, we've got to go over there and defend these people because their leaders are doing this to the people and that to the people. And I'm going, hey, look at home.
Right.
Look at what is being done to our own people.
Exactly. And anyway, we all know that the reason why the U.S. government goes to these other countries to supposedly help the people who they don't even care about and don't even see as human beings aren't doing it for the people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it is disgusting if you think about it. I mean, one tries to not, try to look at it from a wiser, calmer, more centered point of view, but it does. I mean, if we have a little bit of humanity, it would outrage any person.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if people don't understand that, okay, who cares if it happens to other people as long as it's not happening to me? But we have to understand that if we allow it to happen to other people, it will happen to everyone. This will become the state of the world.
Wow.
That's why for me, I mean, Trump has been now president for what? A month?
Mm.
Where is he in regards to this? So to me, I mean, again, I don't want to say anything negative or positive. I'm still waiting. I'm still giving myself that time. I don't like him or dislike him. I'm very neutral at the moment. But the things he has been doing, now the other things about the pharmaceuticals, he has his own agenda, because of his son.
Mm-hmm.
But where is he from these people? And even what he did with all the Muslims, people who have right to actually come to the United States. They have legal documentation. So these are just examples, he's not doing things. I mean, I know it's just been a month, but to me this is a little bit disturbing. I still want to give it some time. I don't want to give judgment.
You're being kind.
But I don't like it.
On the little
yes,
bit. So.
I'm trying. Yeah,
I
mean, it's not little. I'm just saying that, yeah, I mean, I've been trying to just keep my opinion to myself, and I know we all want to believe that he is going to be the change. Maybe he will, maybe this is just a momentary thing. He's still trying to, fix whatever has been done, the damage that has been done. That's why I want to give him a chance, and I think that's fair. That's just me, my personal perspective. But what I'm seeing until now is not very positive. So,
I agree.
Well,
Nancy?
I'm just going to say you should listen to the show that we had Saturday night on Say What, because Bill and Jan Moore came on. We had a discussion about Trump, and there are things about the things that he did that is sort of like, oh, that's why he did it.
Mm-hmm.
It's much too long to go into, and I understand, people. Hey, I don't know whether he's going to make it or not, but I'm sure going to put my energy into the fact that I think he is going to make it.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to stay positive.
That's true.
Like, for instance, he told the drilling companies that they could drill, but the caveat was that they had to use U.S. steel. Now, what this means is that they have to take their pipelines and have a U.S. manufacturer, but there is no U.S. manufacturer, at least not one that could possibly keep up with this.
Well, and he also did away with the EPA assessment. That could take weeks, could take months. He waived all that. They don't have to do that assessment.
Well, all I can
say is...
And
it is top of the hour.
It is the top of the hour, and we will see what happens. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the listeners, and happy birthday. Go eat that cake.
Thank you.
Eat a big piece for me.
I will, I promise. As soon as we...
You want us to sing you happy birthday?
I'm gonna...
Let's do that. We're going to sing you happy birthday, okay? 1, 3. Ready?
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to
you. Happy birthday, dearest Nora.
I'm not catching anything.
Happy birthday to you.
Aw, you're singing for me.
And many more.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, Colleen, it's back in your hands here, and thank you so very much. And what are you coming up? You must have Haggy Reads.
Yep. Up next is Haggy Reads for you, and I'll be doing a replay of a book I read back in March of 2015, Longing for Darkness, Search for the Black Madonna. And after that is fans of Whitley Strieber show. And there's one of those where he does, with Annie's talking to him, stories from a life, part 6, working with Anne. Reality, we know what that is, or do we? And then, of course, Jeremy Bainey has a show, and this one, I'm trying to find it, can't find it, is on the incubus attacks. Most bizarre. And then after that is Producer's Choice, and we'll see what I'm gonna do after that.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody. Be safe. We'll see you next time. And
Thank you.
Colleen starts back up on Friday, so Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday, and then we keep going. We just keep going. So
You're
everybody
gonna do
keep
this
going
Saturday.
and be safe, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks, guys. Really.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Neel. Bye, Colleen. Bye, Nancy.
Bye-bye, sweet. Thank you for visiting. You have been listening to World Talk with Friends, a Haggy Shack radio production simulcast over the Wolf Spirit Media Network.